Imagine being one in over 62,000 employees. Your role is to bring happiness. Your job is to make sure the show goes on. Every day you're instructed to create smiles, practice the 4 keys at all times, and above all else, do whatever you can to go above and beyond. You are a Walt Disney World cast member. Being a Florida resident, I'm sure you've all heard of Disney World, but you probably have little knowledge on what goes on to actually make it run. The Walt Disney Company is a world-renowned corporation that has a unique approach to their employee system for many years, and the life of a cast member is like nothing else. I grew up in the Orlando area, and I was around Walt Disney World for most of my life. And this past summer, I also had the opportunity to work out there, so I know now firsthand what it's like to be a cast member, and I've learned a lot about Disney and the history of it. Today, I'd first like to give you a little history about Disney and why there is such a demand for a strong employee count. Next, I will discuss the process of becoming a cast member, and finally, I will talk about a typical day in the life of working at Disney. It all started with a man named Walter Elias Disney. He created Disney Brothers Studios on October 16, 1923 with his brother Roy Disney. They specialized in kind of a short film called the Alice Comedies. In 1930, the iconic Mickey Mouse appeared. Disney opened Disneyland in 1955 with the hope that it could be a place where families and children and everyone could all experience a place to have fun all together. In December 1966, the man behind all the magic passed away from lung cancer. However, he always dreamed of having the East Coast experience the same kind of parks that happened in Anaheim, California. So, Walt Disney's brother, Roy, opened Magic Kingdom in 1971. 2 months later, Roy Disney died, but the growth continues today. Epcot was opened in 1982, and MGM was opened a few years later. The 1990s became the Disney decade under Disney chairman Michael D. Eisner. That was whenever Animal Kingdom was open and a lot of the resorts and entertainment that you see today. Now, with the company so big, there has to be consistency with employees. Walt Disney knew this from the start, and he wanted each cast member to feel important to the show. Hiring and training is a very important aspect, and the roles employees carry out during the day contribute to the overall experience that customers have. Now let's pretend you have what it takes to become a Walt Disney World employee. So whenever you step into a Disney park, Disney wanted you to feel like you're in another world. So it's important for you to know that he considers Disney a production. This was to preserve the magic, so you should know these phrases before we move on. That there's not employees that work at the parks, it's cast members. And the customers are always guests. On stage is any area that's open to the public. Backstage is any area that is only open to cast members. And cast members don't wear uniforms, they wear costumes. Cast members have an active role in this production, and some people dream of working for Disney for many years, although others just stumble upon the job. Hiring and training is expensive. Hourly, salary, and seasonal jobs are available from anywhere from hotel management to ride operators to landscaping to even marketing directors. Literally everyone can find a job at Disney. The first step is to apply at DisneyCareers.com. If all your qualifications are met, you will then be scheduled for 1 or more interviews depending on where you're applying. Once you're hired, all of the training begins at Disney University. Disney has a world-class training program that's known throughout the world for some of the tactics it uses. Betty Miller is a reporter that did a story on Disney employment. Whenever you feel the magic, she said that you get really excited for the job, and that's what the traditions class does. It all starts with the history of Disney and the culture. You then learn how to communicate Disney in everything that you do whenever you're working. A major aspect of the traditions class is the 4 keys. The first key is safety above all else. No matter where you are backstage, you will see safety begins with me in the middle. You'll see that everywhere because with such a large place, they always have to have safety. The next key is courtesy. Whenever you're working, this is an obvious one, but one of the examples that you use with courtesy as a guest is you always point with a full hand or 2 fingers. I don't know how many of you know this, but in many cultures, pointing with 1 finger can be considered rude, so that's just one of the many things Disney does to promote courtesy. Show is the third key. Show is important because we want to preserve the magic. You don't want to break character whenever you're working, so it's always important to continue with this key. And efficiency is the last one. This just keeps everything running smoothly, so always use efficiency whenever you're working. Now you'll move on to your special training. Don't forget that you'll be wearing your Earning Your Ears badge whenever you begin. This lets everyone know that you're new and you're a new part of the team. You now have a job, you've learned about Disney, you're trained, so the fun begins. Now let's talk about a typical day at work. Everyone must first adhere to the Disney Book guidelines. According to DisneyCareers.com, the most important things you need to remember is, ladies, make sure your hair and your fingernails, your makeup, everything makes you look as natural as possible. Men, you have to make sure your facial hair is maintained according to certain guidelines that Disney sets forth. And if your hair touches your ears, make sure to get it cut shorter. All costumes are picked up at a designated location and returned back to that location whenever you're done. This is a classic Disney costume. Not very flattering, but it keeps everything consistent because Disney wants their employees to look professional, and everyone has to look the same, unfortunately. So a cast member can do some pretty cool things while they're working. Let's look at some of those. The day begins whenever you park in the special cast member lot, and then you're transported to the cast service building from there. In the cast service building, you'll find libraries, gyms, cafeterias, and those discounted tickets you hear about, those can also be purchased in the company D-store in the cast service building. Now, once you move through the cast service building, you're ready to work, you'll move on to your area of the park. Has anyone ever heard of the Tunnels of Magic Kingdom? This is one of the special kind of things that Disney wanted in order to keep the park efficient. So, cast members will be able to move from one point to another without having to navigate through the crowd above the park. Magic Kingdom is the only park to have this system, and this is like where Cinderella's castle is, right in the middle, and then it kind of branches out from there. And the park was actually built on top of the tunnels, so the tunnels are technically the first floor, and then the park is above that. So, don't forget that your job, ultimately, is to be there for the guests. Walt Disney said that cast members will be people who like to bring delight to others, who like to give, and therefore gain pleasure and satisfaction for themselves. Ultimately, you need to go above and beyond wherever possible. One of the ways that you can go above and beyond is the no strings attached card. This is just a good example of how you put the guests first. If there is, say, like a little boy dropped his ice cream on Main Street that he had just bought, you can present a no strings attached card to his parents, and they can go and get a new ice cream at no charge and nothing towards Disney. In conclusion, the job can be challenging, but some moments you witness will make it worthwhile. To review, building Walt Disney World was a long process. To keep up with the demands in the parks, there had to be a system for employees. Becoming a cast member is also long, but everything has a purpose. Once it happens, the experience can be totally worth it. Walt Disney may be gone, but the legacy he left behind is great. In the heart of Central Florida lies one of his many dreams, where cast members have the opportunity to carry out this dream every day, while learning a little bit about themselves and others in the process.